What's going on, everyone? So the Lakers are officially down 3 games to none. They've lost 11 straight to the Denver Nuggets. It's unfortunate, right? Um, Look, I really thought that this was a series that the Lakers matched up better than last year. Um, Thought that this was a series that at worst would have been competitive. And unfortunately, it wasn't. You lose 11 straight games, not really competitive. I know the games are close. The Lakers could make an argument that they should have been up 2 games to 1. All 3 games up double digits. If the games were over at halftime, the Lakers would have Lakers would be 3-0 right now. Fortunately, you got to put a full 48 minutes together, and those second halves were just brutal for the Lakers. And to me, a lot of that is coaching. It's not entirely on the coach. It's not everything on Darvin Ham, but he's a big part of it, right? Because it's the same thing every time. We get in the locker room, we have a lead, and then one coach is making proper adjustments and doing what is necessary to put his team in a position to win, the other isn't. It's just when the same thing happens repeatedly, there's got to be a common denominator, and I just think it's Darvin Ham, unfortunately. Again, it's on the players too. Nobody showed up. Where was this team? I mean, even LeBron to an extent. And look, this is not LeBron's fault at all, but he wasn't great this game. Anthony Davis, I mean, he was everything we could ask for this series. He was great on both sides of the basketball, absolutely dominant. Denver had no real answers for Anthony Davis, but they didn't need it. They kind of just were like, hey, just let AD go off and drop 30 a game. And we'll handle all the other business. Aaron Gordon was great. Aaron Gordon did his part this game. He was one of the best players on the court today. I mean, you could make an argument he was arguably the second best player on the court today. He was very good, very impactful. He had a solid game on both sides of the basketball. He was the difference maker, right? And it's just that's the problem. Like Denver always seems to have that difference maker, and the Lakers don't. Right? Austin Reeves was better this game, but still, it's like he wasn't great, although I'll give Austin Reeves credit. Defensively, I thought Austin Reeves was actually very solid this series. I thought he did a good job on Jamal Murray, but in general, it's like, where was this aggressiveness? I know he didn't have a great shooting percentage-wise, but if he was the aggressive Reeves we saw in yesterday's game, in Game 2 and Game 1, I actually think the Lakers win that game. Right? Like, he just was so timid this series, which is odd. Because he, out of anybody, was torching Denver last go around. He was averaging 20 a game. But it's just, again, sometimes you're just not good enough. And the Lakers just haven't been good enough. Right? And unless some crazy miracle happens and, they rattle off, the history says it's not going to happen. And, you don't go from beating a team 11 straight times to all of a sudden losing 4 straight, right? To me, I want competitiveness. There is an argument to be made of just like, just get swept and get it over with. But I'd like some pride. I'd like to, finish this season and try to rattle off as many wins as possible. Like, don't just hand it up and call it a year, right? Like, be competitive. Go out there and try to get some wins, right? Like, because I also think that could be helpful for next season, some momentum for next season, right? I do think that the Lakers are going to shape or reshape this roster. I think the Lakers it's going to be a lot of changes in the offseason, one of which needs to be Darvin Ham. But beyond that, right, like, it would be good just to kind of get the dark cloud over the Lakers away. Like, okay, we finally beat them. It was a little too late, but still, like, let's carry that over in the next season, at least for the guys that are here next season, right? I think that could potentially go a long way for them next year. But, D'Angelo Russell, no show. I mean, he fumbled bad. Now, he's like not even in the huddle, and I get he's upset, and I'm sure a lot of it he's upset with himself, but it's like, dude, you did this to yourself. I was very defensive of D'Lo. I was hyping him up. I believed in him. And again, I stand by it, right? Like, again, I'm never going to root for a player on the Lakers to fail. I'm not. It's just not who I am, right? Because if D'Lo was good, we probably are in a different position, but we weren't, right? And it's just it sucks. It sucks to be wrong. Like like I said, I'm always happy to be wrong when it benefits the Lakers, but it sucks to be wrong when it doesn't, and it puts the Lakers in a bad spot. Because I really did. I thought D'Lo was going to have a better series, but he cost himself an absolute bag. I mean, this was an opportunity to show, like, oh no, like, forget last year, forget all this stuff, forget, whatever. Like, I'm different this year. And now he probably opts in because I don't see anybody giving him 25, 30 million anymore because teams are going to look at it and go, man, like, he's great in the regular season, but we need him in the playoffs. The only teams that are going to be interested in him that maybe give him money are like the bottom feeding teams that just kind of need a playmaker to kind of get through until they can draft somebody or whatever. Or the like middle of the pack teams that are like it'd be cool just to make the playoffs, right? Like, but even then, are they going to pay a bunch of money for D'Angelo Russell? Probably not. So he probably opts in for the Lakers. So, that could be a good thing or a bad thing. We'll see what trades and stuff like that look like this upcoming offseason. But, we'll dive into that more once we actually get to the offseason. But, it's just, and look, I know a lot of people are going to want to blame D'Lo solely. This isn't like just on D'Lo, right? Rui was terrible this series. Austin Reeves was bad the first two games. He was better in game 3, but still wasn't great, right? I mean, the bench picked it up a little more, but again, it was too little too late. To me, it's just disappointing, because you wanted to see at least some level of fight, right? Like, even if you lose the series, can you at least get it to 6, 7? At least kind of have it feel like, okay, you're not just awful, right? Like and it's crazy to go from like the off season, this past off season. It was like there was so much excitement, so much just like, wow. Like, I mean, even people that can't stand the Lakers were like, man, the Lakers are going to be pretty good this year. And you just saw it all season, the consistently inconsistentness of the Lakers. And it translated, right? It translated into the playoffs. We saw it all year, right? Like, they'd be excellent in the first half, terrible in the second. Or they'd be terrible in the first half, excellent in the second. And it ended up bleeding into the playoffs against Denver. It's like Lakers are excellent in the first and terrible in the second. And LeBron James, I mean, look, LeBron James is still an incredible player. And again, this isn't on LeBron. But LeBron clearly isn't what we need him to be, right? Which is basically your second best player that can just completely dominate and take over for an entirety of a game. He just doesn't have that anymore, right? He's really got to pick and choose his spots. He can't, he's still arguably a top 10 player in the league, but he's not a guy that you can rely on to the level that we need to rely on him for. And there's nothing wrong. LeBron's 39 years old in year 21. Like, you shouldn't have to necessarily do that. And if other guys stepped up and played their roles the way that we needed them to, then LeBron wouldn't have had to be. Right? LeBron would have been everything that we needed him to be. But the problem is no one else showed up, so we needed more from LeBron, and he just doesn't have it. So it is kind of one of the reasons why I lean towards, I think the Lakers need to get a third star. Because then LeBron can kind of be the third guy. He's still going to be LeBron James, still going to go get his 25-5 or 28, 8 and 8, whatever. Like, he's still going to do LeBron things, but he doesn't have to, we don't need him to be Superman for us to have a chance, right? Like, he can do the things that he wants to do. Right? He can kind of, lay back a little bit and let, Anthony Davis and whoever that other star is, that be Trae Young, Donovan Mitchell, whomever, and they can kind of handle most of the load, and then LeBron kind of pick and choose his spots and, have his impact throughout the course of the game. That's kind of my thoughts in that regard. And it sucks because it's like, man, like Anthony Davis and LeBron James are healthy. All year they had a very good, healthy year, and it was just like everything was kind of lined up. And I know some people are going to look at it and go like, well, that's why we shouldn't have played Denver in the first round or whatever. But again, you're either good enough or you're not. Lakers just weren't good enough. They just weren't. It sucks, but that's just the reality. And they wouldn't have been. Because again, if they were, they would have won. And they probably win the championship. But whether you lose to Denver in the first round or the third, what's the difference? Right? All roads are still going to likely go through Denver. And the thing is that, like, yes, like, okay, if you lose in the conference finals, like, at least you got more basketball, at least you got the conference finals. But also in the same breath, it's just like, is that really what's best? Like, do you really want to kind of go through 2 rounds of like feeling like, man, this is it. Like this is Lakers' year. Lakers can do it. And then you're running to Denver and series is over. And it's just like, and I get like, oh yeah, but maybe somebody else beats them. Maybe, but maybe somebody else beats the Lakers. Right? Like maybe, I've seen people throw out like, oh, maybe there's an injury. Maybe there's an injury for us. Like, again, you're speaking in, more likely than not, you're going to have to play Denver at some point one way or another. They're the defending champion. And so to me, it's like I'd rather go and face them in the first round, take our L, and just let's get ready and get into the offseason already. That way we at least we can start making adjustments and retooling and do the things that we need to do to hopefully be back and be better next year. Right? Then prolong it just to what? Right? Like I'd rather just, hey, let's take our L. It sucks. Let's move on. Let's get into the offseason. Let's replace our head coach. Get an actual head coach that can coach. And then on top of that, go get whatever piece. Start game planning and putting together some type of idea of what we want the team to look in the offseason. Right? Because just this team just isn't it. And it's unfortunate. And Denver, you got to credit Denver. Denver did Denver things. It's why Denver won the championship last year. It's why they're very likely to win it again this year. They're a very good basketball team. Very good basketball team. Just sucks that, Lakers just weren't good enough. But, again, hopefully they take a little pride. I'd like to see them win a game, let them win it. Plus, I'd rather them win in Denver than LA. Right? Again, don't get swept again. Show some pride. Show some, grojones, right? Like, come on. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Are you disappointed? Do you think like, nah, it was expected. It is what it is. Do you want the Lakers to win a game, or do you think like, nah, let's just get it over. Let's just get it done. Take your L, move on. Okay. Love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you like this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So when you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.